So hi, this is JPlays and we're back with another progress update video. But before I get into the overall update, let's cover some quick bits, and feel free to just jump ahead with the video chapters if you just want to go straight to the progress update. So in terms of Discord, I wanted to share some updates. On the Discord promo channel, we've had some great mentions of videos from Jammin, who did a great video on what was his biggest mistakes, which is a great video to watch to avoid potential similar mistakes yourself. Then there's Greeny, who did a great video on the bugs and unclear mechanics in the game, including how wave skips are seeded in the game. And as a result of his video, it also brought the idea to keep an up-to-date summary of these things on the Knowledge Hub. So a page has been created there specifically for such topics, and of course with a link to Greeny's original video there too. And then we had Anona and Tequila Man, who shared progress update videos, Dr. Trashbag, who shared his update and legend tournament stream, Celastoria, who shared a tower song called Guardian of the Pond, and various other videos, so be sure to check those videos out. And back to Greeny's video, his result also made some of us think whether there are other game mechanics that are also seeded, and the likely answer to that is yes. First of all, there is no such thing as true random when it comes to programming, but also that the devs likely want to ensure equal playing field for all. Personally, I wanted to test if Death Defy was seeded, and so I did 6 runs for testing in tournament, where I respect, removed cards, removed modules, turned off my ultimate weapons and so on to remove as many RNG factors as possible and to try to Death Defy on the same waves each time. And so I did 6 runs for testing in tournament where I respect, removed cards, removed modules, turn off my ultimate weapons and so on to remove as many RNG factors as possible and try to Death Defy on the same waves each time. I also had 0 levels in workshop stats except for knockback, attack speed, multi-shot, rapid fire, just to juggle the normal enemies so that I could limit the Death Defy to bosses. And my initial results showed that Death Defy was not in any specific order. So for example, sometimes Energy Shield would trigger first, sometimes not, and not really any pattern emerging in terms of the X amount of hits. And due to the vast amounts of potential RNG in a run itself, it was only in 3 of the runs that I was able to get Death Defy to occur on the same wave, on wave 13, where the boss had spawned obviously on wave 10. One time I did 5 Death Defy at wave 13, and one time I did 1 Death Defy. However, I need to do more testing of this in future tournaments, but so far I couldn't spot any seed of sorts, but I'm not concluding this until more rigorous testing. Also in regards to Discord, I've added some posts specific for tournaments just to make it easy to see the latest and previous tournament battle conditions, as well as to celebrate or complain about your bracket RNG, easy access to the tournament checklist tool and more. And just finally, I hope to bring out some features and improvements to the server in the near future, so stay tuned for that. And the server also has a tag for the server if you want to use that. Currently it's JPLS, just short for JPlays, but I'm open to changing it to any 4-letter combo that people want. For example, maybe it should spell Devo or others. So let me know if you have any ideas. And oh, here's a gem from Reddit from the last week. If you're having a rough day in the game, take a look at this. Ouch. Ouch. And also just letting you know that I'm getting back to sharing more tips in the community posts like I've done in the past, so stay tuned for that. Though I hope the video itself will contain some useful tips and tricks as well. Okay, now let's talk about the overall journey since the last progress update video. So, as I've been stating previously, I'm in the process of transitioning to Reverse Orb Devo. However, after the previous video, I realized that I wanted to try early versions of Reverse Orb Devo without having 100% build for it. After all, as a content creator, I try to push various strategy limits so that I can offer better advice on a given topic. And so that's what I did. I've been running a very light version of Reverse Orb Devo and it's already netting me more coins. And it's going to greatly improve in the time ahead. And as a result, I'm officially farming as Glass Cannon. And as I made a post about, it was funny how my first Glass Cannon farming run was 1 year and 1 day after I first started playing the game. A first for everything. And the very best part is that I can fully AFK my runs. There is no need to do any changes at all during the run. And so let's just briefly cover what this entails, although I'll circle back to it when relevant in the rest of the video. Normally, for Reverse Orb Devo, you want Chrono Loop, so Chronofill Plus, and you want Damage Masteries for greater damage, and you want high levels in Wave Accelerator and Intra Sprint, and a lot more. That's because you want to juggle enemies outside of your tower range and only pull this in when Black Hole activates. And False Hope has created a great written guide on the Knowledge Hub and also the next video I will make will be a guide for it. However, I was able to do a light version of Reverse Orb Devo where I don't have any chrono loop, no damage masteries, and only a handful of levels in Wave Accelerate and Intro Sprint. And I didn't even have enemy health level skips on my generator module. It is, of course, as a result, not nearly as efficient as it will become, but it was already improving my coins income per hour. And I was able to achieve this by utilizing Shockwave to a greater extent for juggling, and that I have been able to get chronofill speed reduction on my Multiverse Nexus. So I swapped out all my perk bands to instead pick Glass Cannon bands, and one of the most important perks I wanted now was the trade-off perk that slows down enemies. I took out all the EHP cards and instead put in Energy Shield and Energy Net. I put in the Anti-Cube Portal as a damage module. I put Free Up Mastery Lock on enemy attack level skips, orbs, and bounce range. Attack level skips just to get the health level skips maxed sooner. Orbs because I don't have Workshop Orb Adjuster, so I can't have more orbs yet until I get that, because otherwise they'll be too far outside of my tower range. And bounce range just to reduce the amount of kills outside of tower range. In the future I may possibly lock bounce shot chance itself, but not for now. And that's roughly it. As a result of not having Chronofill Plus and so on, it means I have to rely on shockwave size, which eventually you kinda don't want to rely on. It also means that every cycle I'm trimming a bit of enemies, particularly the fast enemies, that I ideally don't do in the future, but it's just that my chronofill speed reduction is not enough to keep them away and they end up hitting the orbs before the Econ ultimate weapons activate. And as is default of sorts with a glass cannon build, now I easily do 20 plus death defies each run because it's primarily the bosses that are able to hit me. And then I keep recharging the wall and energy shields, and so it keeps going like this for like 1,000 waves or so. And I was able to gradually work myself up from about 5k waves on tier 12 up towards 6k so far, and soon tier 13 will be farmed, and then tier 14. So yeah, I'll cover more details about all of this as we go through the rest of the progress update video, but at least now you have a rough idea. Now let's get into the progress update. For the workshop, I'll show my respec template on screen again, and as mentioned before, if you ever want to use this and are also respecing, then the template is on the Tower Notion side. And do note that my whole workshop is in some significant changes and testing and tweaking at the moment, so please note that what I show you now is not necessarily 100% what I will have in a week or two. So previously for the attack workshop, I've had everything at level 0 because of the free up orbless strategy. Now I've just put my damage workshop stat high so that it was way easier for me to test different tiers without risk of failing or dying while doing Reverse Orb Devo. In the future, once things are more settled, and especially as I get settled on tier 14, then I will want to reduce my damage workshop levels simply so that I don't kill as much via bounce shot or chain lightning and so on. Or by then I may have the damage caps ladder, which would enable me to just have the damage essentially maxed. The reason why the damage levels are also currently quite fluctuating is because I've been leveling wave accelerated card mastery, and that has also meant that more enemies spawn earlier, so the optimal damage scaling has kept changing too. But also ultimately that it matters a lot less as Reverse Orb Devo, it's just to squeeze out a few more coins. And so yeah, that's about it for the attack workshop. The free ups are just maxing things in the attack workshop anyways. As for defense, as a glass cannon now, it doesn't really matter what level I keep most things at, but also because free ups are anyways going to max it in run. The key difference now though is that I don't need to lock shockwave size anymore. I've just kept shockwave size at level 16 or so in my lab, and then with max upgrade on the shockwave size in the workshop, it's currently at 2.50 and pushes enemies just to the edge of the chronofill range. And so I don't want it smaller or bigger than that, but I'll keep testing to see if I end up at 245 or whatever. And then for the utility tab, as we have freed up a free up lock, and because we're now glass cannon and therefore only relying on enemy health level skips, I can lock enemy attack level skips to get the health level skips max quickly in the run. This also means that I don't really need any workshop levels at all in attack level skips anymore, because I've moved away from an EHP build. I may still just keep it at 300 because that's cheap for me and just about 38 trillion, but I could keep it at level 0 as well. And then we'll see if this means whether I will push the health level skips a bit more. I basically kept both to level 400 for so long, but now is my chance to potentially push that, maybe to 420 or so at first. And overall, due to the quite solid econ, I've been able to lab masteries without sacrificing my workshop coins so far. This also means though that I will not be improving my enhancements for a while ahead, as it will all go to masteries. And so in the previous update video I shared how I have 41 quadrillion in my workshop, And as you can see, I still have 41 quadrillion. For tournaments, I will obviously go harder into damage and nothing in coins and cells, but both builds are going to be damage focused now going forward, just to a varying extent. And that's largely it in terms of the workshop. There will be more tweaks and testing as I go, particularly in terms of what damage level I want to start my runs with, and if I lock bounce range or bounce shot chance and so forth. So we'll see where I end up on those eventually. And in terms of milestones, I thought I was not going to have any progress, as I had originally planned to wait to do any more until I got damage masteries. But when I realized I just needed 200 stones to unlock interest sprint, I had a go at some milestone attempts. And this was particularly relevant because now I had project funding at Mythic, which made it a lot more viable. So tier 14 and tier 15 I have not done yet, and those I will be waiting until I get the damage masteries. But for tier 16 I increased it from 450 to about 1200. For tier 17 I got it from 391 to 682, and for tier 18 I got it from 151 to 268. So all the milestone progression meant that I could faster get some needed stones for the interest sprint mastery. Okay, so now on to ultimate weapons. So if you watched the previous update video, you will know that my focus with stones ahead is all on masteries for quite some time. So there basically is no update in terms of ultimate weapons. They look the same as before, and I still just have Golden Combat level 6, but I think my farming strategy gives me quite solid econ, though of course I would have loved to get it higher. Importantly though, it is worth re-emphasizing how my death wave at 80 seconds is making any Reverse Orb Devo farming more feasible. That's because my sync time is just 58 seconds, and as my black hole is 45 seconds with the perk, it means it is just 13 seconds where I need to juggle the enemies outside of my tower range. I talked about this reasoning to why I did some death wave cooldown reduction in the previous update video, but I thought it was worth re-emphasizing. But so yeah, no changes to ultimate weapons, but looking ahead, as shared before, I want to unlock Chrono Loop and get it to about level 4. I want to develop some Spotlight Angle at some point, which will be nice for both tournament and farming. Now that I'm back to basically killing most enemies with orbs, the improved Spotlight Angle is going to be nice to ensure more kills within it. However, there is one additional consideration on the radar now after some testing. My black hole is relatively small at 58 meters, but it's been fine for the various strategies that I've done. But right now, at minimum range, because I need black hole to pull in the enemies that are outside, there is a small portion of enemies currently that do not get pulled in because my black hole doesn't cover the whole area of the chronofield range. And so I will consider when I may want to develop that slightly. We'll see. With Spotlight, I at least improved something for both tournament and farming, whereas the black hole is just for farming, and I also need more stones towards masteries currently, so it will likely be quite some time until I get it done. We'll see. And so here you can see all my ultimate weapon stats. And then we're on to cards, and so we finally have another card slot from 17 to 18, and as you can see with my gems, we're not too far away from 19. The reason initially that I wanted more card slots was just for the masteries, but I also realized that Glass Cannon need more card slots than what I had needed before. Sure, I could take away health, regen and defense, but suddenly now I needed all the damage related cards, energy shield, energy net, slow aura, and interest sprint of course now, and eventually also wanting super tower slotted and demon mode, so I really suddenly needed a lot more card slots. But so I got 18 cards now, and that leaves me with basically this currently: the Berserker, attack speed, slow aura, enemy balance, cash card, which I'm swapping out after the first 300 waves where enemy health level skips is maxed, and then I swap in slow aura for it. Wave skip card, wave accelerator, interest sprint, critical coin, coin card, energy shield, energy net, and the landmine stun card. I will keep an eye out on whether it's good for my farming or not, and so more testing there in the future. Now with my limited speed reduction, it's been nice at least to have. And then there's plasma cannon, extra orb card, ultimate crit card, recovery package chance, and the damage card. And if you paid attention to that spiel, you'll also note that I don't have a slot for critical chance card at the moment, but I will get that very soon. But so yeah, as you can see, if I also want space for super tower and demon mode, I basically want to get to 21 card slots, so 2 more after this one. Okay, then what about my masteries? I have not touched the recovery package chance or the free up mastery. Recovery package chance I will get to at some point, but other priorities first. Whereas the free up mastery I'm basically finished with for months, if not years. But I got wave accelerator and rushed it a bit, and it is now soon level 6. And my interest sprint is now level 3. And the next mastery that I will get is the damage mastery, and then we'll reassess after that. I don't have the econ for super tower just yet, I feel like, and demon mode is less rush for me as I like the auto-saving mechanisms for now. But I will of course get both soon, and it will be a combination of those and chrono loop. And seeing how I can do Reverse Orb Devo without chrono loop, it may mean that I do all the 3 damage masteries first. We'll see. But lastly on cards, just to quickly acknowledge some great input from others from my last video. As SunBR rightly pointed out, I should really be getting cash mastery soon, especially as it's so relatively cheap at 500 stones. And so I'll keep that on the radar. Maybe at some point when I have 500 stones just sitting idle, I may get it. Right now, I'm focusing on getting the damage masteries though, and nothing is really gonna stop me from doing that first. I've been so patient developing my econ for this moment of labbing damage masteries pretty quick, and so I'm not gonna steer away from that just yet. And the same can be somewhat said about enemy balance mastery as well. After I establish my farming at tier 14, I will reassess my sell income and how I may want enemy balance or not. And so for my perks, there's obviously been a massive swap from EHP to Glass Cannon. And on that note, this is a good reminder to just share the perk priorities by build created by Maniac, which gives a solid overview of what trade-off perks you may want for a given build. And so I'll add a link to that in the description. But so yeah, I've got 7 bans now. The 50-50 damage trade-off perk is now banned, which used to be the staple of my EHP strategy. And I now ban the knockback trade-off perk. As for whether to ban the 1.5x damage, where bosses get 8x health, I concluded through testing that it's better to not take it. Basically, bosses are the main problem currently, not elites, and so I don't need the extra damage because the bosses will become too tanky too early in the run as a result of this. And I have to do more testing before I conclude about this, but I've currently banned the boss speed health trade-off perk. And then I just banned a few commons. And then I ban orbs because I don't have the workshop orb adjusted just yet. And so what this means is that I don't bother banning range trade-off perk because range are either outside of my tower range or disabled in Black Hole. I don't ban the damage increase that slows enemies down because I want them to be slow and they're not hitting my tower anyways. I don't ban the cash trade-off perk simply because free upgrades are anyways doing the leveling in run. And as for auto perks, the only minor change here was just adding some damage related perks at the bottom of the priority list. But this I will tweak in the future once I have a more consistent farming, because then I will know better what perks I want at a given time. Importantly, once my Interest Sprint Mastery is a bit more developed, I will start to ban the Poison Swamp perk. And that's because the order of perks will matter less anyways once Interest Sprint lasts longer, because you don't earn coins while Interest Sprint is active. And so that means it's less urgent to ban many common perks later on for me. And the reason for banning Poison Swamp perk is because the perk already makes the Poison Swamp too big and outside of the Black Hole range, which means the enemies can be stunned outside of the range, the Black Hole can pull them in. But by banning it, it will stay inside. And this also has the added benefit of that then I can lab the Poison Swamp radius a bit more to have it larger for tournaments. We'll see what exact radius I land on though, but basically as much radius as fits inside my Black Hole without the Poison Swamp perk. Okay, and then we're on to labs. First, let's just revisit what I said would be my goals in the previous update video. In it, while I mentioned some specific labs, it was largely going to be in the following broad strokes of the 5 lab slots. 1 econ spot, 1 lab speed slot, 1 damage flex, and another damage flex, and 1 for the banned perk 7, and then turning into a damage/flex slot. And now let's see how I've overall done, and then revisit these goals. And so in terms of tournament and damage focus, I haven't really done that much. I've gotten the damage from 59 to 61 and critical factor from 61 to 62. But then farming related, we have a bit more progress, where we've gotten wave accelerator from 0 to 5, golden bot duration from 15 to 16, the Interest Sprint Mastery from 0 to 3, and coins per kill from 84 to 89, which I may pause in the near future for damage masteries and other flex a bit. And then in terms of other labs, I've gotten a super tower bonus from 9 to 17. This is all just a preparation for the mastery. And similarly, I've gotten a recharge demon mode from 2 to 7, so it's maxed now, and this is also just in preparation for the mastery. I've gotten lab speed from 78 to 81. And I may pause the lab speed for damage masteries and other things in a bit. And then, as mentioned earlier, I've gotten the ban perk from 6 to 7. So going back to my old goals, well, I've had coins per kill 24/7, so I guess that's the econ spot. I've had lab speed at 24/7, But both of these I may take out for a little bit in the time ahead when I feel like I have more impactful stuff to lab. And then for the 3 flex spots of sorts, it's basically been to level my existing masteries and to prepare for future masteries of Demon Mode and Super Tower. And basically ahead there's not really any point to dedicate lab slots, it's all going to be masteries related and with some occasional other labs, be it econ or damage related. It's also worth pointing out that at some point I will get back to labbing Shadow Shards, which is just level 3. And my plan is to eventually lab level 4 and rush level 5. I don't feel like these are as urgent to do right now though, as I've already reached a level 161 milestone of sorts of getting additional substats, but of course it will be nice to eventually max this, but I also don't have any gems to spare for any rushing of this for a long time too. And then in terms of tournaments, I've seen a decent jump by simply getting project funding to Mythic. It's painful to think about all the additional stones I could have earned by simply having better module luck when project funding came out. But oh well, it's nice to have as Mythic, and it will unfortunately stay as Mythic for quite some time as I now need to use all my gems for more card slots. And then I will get back to it. And here you can see the overall tournament results. And as for the vault, with keys I've now gotten the 2nd gem discount for respec, and next on the radar is definitely all about getting the workshop orb adjuster, which will be important for my farming strategy but also nice for tournaments. So I need 40 more keys to get to that. And this is where it's so painful, as I shared last video, that I stupidly fat fingered and accidentally picked reroll daily missions, which is so painful as it's so useless and irrelevant for me. But this useless vault upgrade means that I'm rolling most of my daily missions to give core shards. It won't matter much, but it will add up a tiny bit over time. But the annoying thing is that the missions are often auto-completed when I get back on the game, so I can't re-roll them anyways. And then on to event. For bots, I've gotten 1 more second overall in Golden Bot, 1/2 with the lab and 1/2 with medals. And then I've continued to improve the amplifier bot a bit, including taking range to 49, bonus to 5.5 and half a second more in duration. Ahead, I most likely will just improve amplifier bot, simply as I feel like it's too much hoarding to put anything into Golden Bot for very minor improvements. But then at some point in the future I may do a bot respec to just max out Golden Bot. But at least it's not worth very slowly developing it, and instead I can enjoy the benefits of an improved amplifier bot first. And in terms of relics, I've decided once again to skip Absolute Defense Relic to spend my medals elsewhere. I would have definitely skipped it if it cost 500 medals, but with the 200 medals I was considering it. But as I'm transitioning to Glass Cannon and as I want to spend the medals elsewhere, I'm fine skipping it. And I've now played for 1 year and enjoyed tons of extra medals into my bots by skipping the Absolute Defense Relics, and so I'm fine with the potential future where Abs Def gets reworked and relevant. Even if it does get reworked, I got a feeling that it wouldn't be that relevant for Glass Cannon anyways, but time will tell. If you pick the Absolute Defense Relic, then that's perfectly fine, and maybe you'll come back here in the future and say, told you so about getting it. Time will tell. And yeah, I've now played 1 year and therefore got the Anniversary Relic too. For the guild event, there's not much to say really, it's just getting the econ upgrades from the store. It is a bit disappointing though that there is no new Guardian. I think that's a shame, particularly when thinking about how long the guild events last for. So I will just keep pouring bits into my Fetch Guardian. The last thing I'll say here though is that we may soon get into a territory of where we may start to get enough bits for the other Guardian chips to be relevant. At some point I may want to do some math and potential testing about that, but I feel like we don't really have enough bits just yet to make attack or ally viable just yet. But let me know if you see any good results from them yourself. And then for themes and relic bonuses, so right now my themes and relic bonuses are looking like this. And so this is the coin multiplier. Now I have a tier 12, 13 and 14. And then we're on to modules. And in my last video, my modules were all in the 160 range and now they're about 164. My generator lagging a little bit behind as I needed shards to build my project funding to Mythic. And in terms of pulls, I've basically pulled nothing as I've been using the gems for card slots, which kind of funnily coincides with a bug in the game where most are not able to pull modules. I guess it's just FUD's way of saying that if JPlays is not pulling modules, then nobody is. Then as for rerolling, things have gone pretty well. For Black Hole Digester, for my first few runs as Glass Cannon, I didn't have any enemy health level skip substat at all, and Glass Cannon still did better for farming for me. But luckily, yesterday I finally got a mythic substat, which I'm fine with for now. Though of course, I want it eventually to Ancestral. However, the biggest reroll achievement was getting chronofield speed reduction on my Multiverse Nexus. This is what I spent all my rerolls on at first, and as mentioned in the previous video, I was basically rolling for both Golden Tower bonus and chronofield speed reduction. And it was only until I got the chronofield speed reduction that I first tried Reverse Orb Devo glass cannon farming. So yeah, I was super excited about that, and it is what has snowballed everything else since. For my ACP, the substats are not great, and I got a little bit of a dilemma. I kinda want orbs on it, but I don't want that until I have Workshop Orb Adjuster, because that would mess up the farming. But it would be of course nice for tournament. So I'm in a bit of an odd situation where maybe I just save up my rerolls for now until I'm ready to get orb substats on it. It at least feels a bit wasteful to try to roll for one substat now when it has 2 slots available. And for Dimension Core, I've gotten Spotlight Angle, Spotlight Bonus, Chain Lightning Chance, and Chronofield Speed Reduction as Ancestral, and Mythic Chain Lightning Quantity and Chronofield Duration. So here's where I will spend all my rerolls ahead. And for project funding, I got the 2 main stats that I wanted on it, which were free utility upgrade and enemy health level skips. It was nice to also get the cash bonus too though. But I won't be rolling more on this for a long time. And that's really about it in terms of rerolls. The one final thing to add is that once I get stronger, I will use Havoc-Bringer or Being Annihilator instead of Astral Deliverance for farming. That's primarily just the same as I did before, where I want a module that has more consistent damage and it doesn't have bounce shot chance so that I don't kill via bounce unnecessarily outside of Econ Ultimate Weapon activations. And so that means at some point I may reroll these substats, but there's a lot of other rerolling I want to do first. And to summarize it, I want to be getting the Ancestral stats sorted for Dimension Core, where we'll just take whatever Ancestral we get as the 6 substats, such as Chronofield Duration or Inland Landmine Quantity or Chain Lightning Damage. And then for my Black Hole Digester, I want to get the enemy health level skips as Ancestral, and eventually getting the substats sorted on the ACP. And that should keep me occupied for quite some time. And in terms of additional future module plans, there's no module pulling for quite a long time because all gems going to card slot. And then as mentioned, there will be a lot of module rerolling substat fun. And what many of us do, by the way, is that we share our live rerolls on the Discord server, and also the same with module pulling, which is fun to watch and share in on, so tune into that at times if you want to. What I may also do next time I go live is to do some rerolling with you guys then. My only issue at the moment is that it's been hard to do any live streaming due to very hectic schedule IRL, but I hope to get back to doing more live streaming and tournament runs etc. soon, so yeah, stay tuned. And lastly, although I've covered this to some extent already, let's go a little bit further into my gameplay. In my latest runs, I earn about 130 trillion on average per hour, up from about 85 trillion, and my peak coins per minute has gone from 2.7 trillion to 4.5 trillion. My lifetime coins is now at 81 quadrillion, and I still only earn about 480k or so cells a day due to the shorter runs. And going glass cannon already and into shorter runs obviously meant that I'm sacrificing some cells, which I'm okay with, as my damage soon will increase, and as I move towards tier 14, this will increase quite a lot though, so I'm not sweating that. And as for the run, I basically kept the same target priority as I did for my free up orbless. I've put elites on top just to kill these effectively. As second and third, I have protector and boss because protector targeting is bugged, but just to try to help with killing protectors a bit. And then fourth, I just have spotlights, and fifth closest. And so then let's just talk a bit more about the gameplay. So nowadays I can finally AFK my runs. I basically start to run with everything on except for smart missiles, and then I max my health level skips the first 300 waves or so, which just takes 3-4 minutes because of intro sprint. And because of my limited card slots, I just take out my cash card and then put in slow aura, and that's really it. The one thing I'd add though is that it does give a tiny bit more coins to leave chain lightning off and just put it on later in the run. And so if I'm able to stick around, I'll do that. But it's also not the end of the world. And so yeah, I'm just so excited about finally having a full AFK build again. And that my runs are so much shorter, so it's easier to record, go live, or pick tournament time slot to enter, and so forth. At some point it will be nice to also get the auto restart vault upgrade, but I have other priorities for keys first to cover. And lastly, I'll also add that as I was testing and moving directly from EHP to glass cannon, I did try hybrid approach too, such as using a greater combination of damage mitigation, using sharp fortitude, etc., which did okay, but due to the Reverse Orb Devo, I could basically skip the whole gradual hybrid build transition and just jump straight into glass cannon, even without damage masteries, which is pretty cool. And this is the best stage or moment of the game, I think, which I really enjoy. Because right now things are going well, but there are also so many ways to improve my strategy ahead. I will see further gains. Things such as damage masteries, better substats, more card slots, further development of wave accelerator and intro sprint, and so on. They're all going to massively improve the approach in the time ahead. So yeah, stay tuned for that and stay tuned on the Discord. I hope to do more frequent update videos ahead so that there are not so big jumps in my journey, but you can also stay more closely tuned to all of it via Discord. And as mentioned, I hope to get back to more live streaming soon too. And oh, note that these videos also have a written transcript that is posted on the Knowledge Hub, just in case you prefer reading instead of watching a video. Okay, coolio. Next up is the Reverse Orb Devo guide. See you then. Bye.